You asked me a lot of challenging
Yeah.
questions. Yeah, my God, like I'm shocked, you know?
You said you grew up without a voice.
We were never allowed to question a lot of things. Then that was the beginning of an awakening. The biggest learning I have for myself was probably I felt that I had to perform to be loved. I learned that the way to overcome your fears, so surrounding yourself with the right people can change you. Or is there a market who has a bigger role to play in the 92 million tons of textile waste? And I dove deeper because when I saw the hotels, I started looking for the numbers. So Bali has about 60,000 tons in circulation.
Listening to the numbers, I'm just like, it's so uncomprehendable to me. And
A lot of recycling textile today, I can tell you, comes from pre-consumer waste. And they will claim it's recycled. And then I flew home to send off my mother. And on the way home, I lost my best friend.
The hardest part about building a mission-led business is not the market, it's the voices in your head. Welcome to For People, For Earth, For Us, the podcast, where we talk about the human story, the world around us, and the choices that connect them. I'm here today with Sandy Tew from I Am Sustainable Studios.
Hi.
Hi, thank you so much for being with us here
No,
today.
thank you for having me.
Yeah, I'm so flattered that you decided to join our podcast because I know everything that you do is with such intention, and I'm just happy to have you here.
Thank you, Ria. That means a lot.
Okay, so I'm going to go straight into the questions. So tell us, who are you before the title?
You're very good at this. Who am I before the titles? Well, I'm Sandy. Before everything, I was actually a registered yoga teacher
Wow.
and a Reiki practitioner. I'm a dog mama to Luna. She's been with me she's now almost 4 years old. Um, yeah, I think I'm just basically one of the human beings out here trying to make change in this world.
Yeah. So do you think people understand you outside of I Am Sustainable Studios?
I think the people who know me well understand me for who I am. And that's quite an inner circle who's with me. And it takes time to get to that inner circle because for me, that's how I build my trust. But for me, the most important point is that the people who matter most know truly what the core of my being is. And the way I connect I am sustainable or everything I do is from that place of authenticity. And for me, if everything aligns to your intention, everything else will follow.
So just tell us a little bit about I Am Sustainable Studios and what it is that you do.
Okay, I Am Sustainable Studio is a circular design studio that transforms textile waste into renewable resources such as regenerated fabric and new products like what I'm wearing today. Every product that we create has that impact. So for me, we started from collecting the textile waste of hotels, transforming it into new fiber to yarn and new fabric again. So because we've done it from end to end, we know exactly how much waste was placed into the combination, how we've transformed it together with communities and turn it back to new products that allows the story. And I think it's a lot about authenticity in terms of designing consciously. For me, I just really wanted to look into somewhere that's ignored, a waste stream that a lot of people have come to accept, especially in corporates, in hotels. This industry is less than 10% of the waste stream in their ecosystem. I do understand the relevance of food waste and plastic waste as well. They're the largest stream. But in textile waste, we've accepted that it will be a take, make, waste linear ecosystem. And what we're here for I'm Sustainable Studio is really to promote circularity in the ecosystem today.
I want to know more about you, right? So, when we had our pre-interview, you said you grew up without a voice. And I just want to know, like, what did that look like day to day, Because now you're like so outgoing, you're so well spoken. And for me to hear that you didn't have a voice growing up it's shocking. So I want to know more about that.
Wow. Well, I grew up as the eldest in the family from a Filipino-Chinese culture. And for us, we were never allowed to question a lot of things. I am the eldest, which carried a lot of, how to say, pressure.
Yeah. Out of how many?
Two.
Okay.
We're just two.
Okay.
And I think being the eldest, I was treated as a boy because in the Chinese, the eldest as a boy always had a lot of responsibilities. And I've also witnessed my mom be sick since I was 3 years old. So maybe the difference is that not a lot of people know about this side of me. And for a long time, I actually thought that most of my inner circle friends knew that I was dealing with this reality of the fact that as early as 3 years old, I was watching life and death before my
Wow.
eyes. To not have a voice because for us, it's very hierarchical society.
Mm-hmm.
It's also patriarchal. A lot of things like how you feel, you're not allowed to speak or question. In the dining table, you're supposed to just obey and answer. So the rules are very much like that. And for a long time, I think until I was living in that roof back home, I am not allowed to be who I am or who I think. And that's
Wow.
very hard to be deprived of.
It's
Yeah.
really interesting to hear because, we're quite young, right? So it's like that still exists that I think in Asian cultures, I think a lot of people are not aware. So when did you realize like I'm allowed to question? I'm allowed to have my voice? When was that pivotal moment?
It was actually back in 2020 in the midst of my room, quarantine within a quarantine. I was quarantined out
Mm-hmm.
in my own home because I went to have my visa fixed for China. So my family quarantined me because we have comorbidity at home. So at that time, I remember because I was raised to be Catholic, and our culture was that every Sunday we're supposed to go to mass and everything. I was going through yoga every day too. This was when I was deepening my practice in meditation, doing 30 minutes every day
Mm-hmm.
and starting and ending my day with movement. And I realized that what is the relevance of doing the rituals of a religion when your way of living is so different? And then that's when I started to question my own religion.
Okay.
And I felt like super wrong or sinful. And I remember asking my best friend, like, is this right? I feel horrible to actually question something that I was born to believe and forced to just follow.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, then that was a beginning of an awakening
Okay.
to allow yourself to find out what you really believe in. It's like the moment you allow yourself to question, it begins like a blank canvas to be truly who you are.
Okay. So it starts with questioning
Yeah,
and
always.
accepting the answers, I think, right?
Definitely. I think also honoring the answers is probably one of the hardest. The truth that's hardest within us lies in the darkest shadows that we have. And for me, it's when you have the courage to face those shadows, that's when the most genuine truths arise and you can align deeper to who you truly are.
Wow. Let's just take a moment because that was a lot. Yeah, I agree with you. I think, even when you hit rock bottom, I think that's when you find out, who you really are and what's going to keep you going. Is there anything yet to unlearn, to become the woman that you are now? Because I feel like there's been so many shifts because you're able to question and accept the answers and kind of reinvent yourself. So, yeah, is there anything yet to unlearn?
The biggest learning I have for myself was probably embracing who I truly am for all that I am and also knowing my worth,
Okay. Tell us about
knowing
that.
and valuing your worth. I think the hardest is like for a very long time, I thought that love is earned. Everything is conditional, like a world where if you do this, you get this. If you do that, you get that. We've been trained to have the ladders in our heads. It's as if society expects of you. But the moment you begin to question, you allow yourself to learn deeper of yourself and to find out that in these truths, it's okay if it doesn't follow what society tells of you. So, unlearning the wiring of what we thought was right and wrong versus acknowledging really what is right that feels within you and aligns for your core. And the next step for that is being able to speak up, acknowledging your truth,
Mm-hmm.
speaking from your place of authenticity, regardless of what people think.
Mm-hmm.
I've been told of like always worrying of what everyone thinks,
Mm-hmm.
even from the way I used to dress. I came from the world of beauty, as you know,
Yep.
from the impressions of fully made up and high heels and everything. What is polite, what is not. All these things that society thinks should be part of.
Mm-hmm.
But truly, I think the hardest is like the beauty of just being who you are,
Mm-hmm.
and your energies will resonate that.
I want to go back to you had to learn your value, right? and you felt like love was earned. Was that something that you had when you were a child, or because that's something that a lot of people do feel like love is earned, but it's actually not.
I think at the core of my upbringing before, I felt that I had to perform to be loved. I felt like I had to achieve a lot of things to gain their proudness,
Mhm.
my family's honor and pride. And for us, there is the standards.
Mhm.
There are the standards of you have to be a certain level of corporate role, and then you also have to be this certain type of how to say, okay, you have to be a certain type of role. You also have to be with a family, a partner. And then once you have your partner, what is next is like
Yep.
have children and all these. It becomes an invisible checklist.
Yeah.
The thing is this checklist really for us? What if we can redefine our own checklist?
It's like stereotyping, right?
1000%.
I think in Asia, I think a lot of it's very much like we are put into boxes even before, I see it here a lot. Yeah, within even our company, we're trying to break the stereotype where women are usually the ones who stay at home and take care of the kids. I see a shift in our company where actually the husbands are staying home and taking care of the companies because we're a better support system for the woman here. So yeah, I think it's so important to break that stereotype because I think we don't talk about it, but it's something that's so real and true that we live still today.
And even you and me here,
Yeah.
we are breaking the stereotype. We are breaking the ties.
Yeah, exactly.
I think is also that those who choose to break that generational trauma or so, or that acknowledgement that this is not okay and we choose to defy something else, probably the rest of the world would understand. But
Yeah.
if this is what resonates with you, things will shift and get better each day. The hardest is doing that first step,
Yeah, I agree.
the acknowledgement and unlearning to learn deeper of who you truly are.
Yeah. Like not having a voice. And now you do like so much public speaking, and you seem so confident. So is there anything like tell me the moment that started changing about your public speaking, and then tell me if there's any kind of ritual that you do when you're doing public speaking that maybe we can like learn.
Maybe 5 years ago, I would be sweating with my hands and shaking
Yeah.
before I get on stage. I swear. It's ironic because I used to speak a lot also still for work. I would do sales conferences of 300 people and I would be pitching. But the thing is, I memorized everything. I memorized everything to my core. I know my script. I know my punchline. I'm super prepared. I would be dressed up in heels, not like this.
Okay. Times
I
have
would be all
changed.
made up and with hair and makeup done like 2 hours before, So I felt like that was the right preparation because I felt like in the spotlight, you have to be perfect. That notion and concept of perfect, how it has changed is I think it started first from the internal work I had to do, honoring what I do and why I do what I do. And slowly, the public speaking, yes, recently has become a lot. But I realized, first of all, I'm actually good at it. The moment I allow myself to speak, I can speak from a place of truth and authenticity that not a lot have the courage to do so. And now my rituals, well, I come here as I am.
Yep.
I was doing sound healing on the way here. And I think it's less about what is in the spotlight. It's more about what am I here to say? What is my voice here for to do? My rituals. So somewhere in between that, I learned that the way to overcome your fear is to keep on doing it. If you're not doing most of the things that possibly scare the hell out of you and excite you, the harder it becomes, to overcome. But if you keep doing it, the more you get used to it as a muscle memory.
So let's just say that again. So the way to conquer fear is to just keep doing it, right? That's quite powerful.
And the biggest is to remind yourself why you're doing it. Why do you want to conquer your biggest fears? For me, my intention is if I can use my voice for others, if I can inspire just one person who's listening and will push them to do something tomorrow, which I've heard and seen a lot, the more I keep doing it. What surprised me is the moment I started speaking out, building communities, building tribes, it's the after. it's the after messages that I get that surprise me the most. Like, how? Why? Some people started a different career. Some people messaged me and started to build their own brand. And I'm like, I'm just sharing my own story.
Yeah.
But I think it's acknowledging that we are all the same, what we're going through. And I've cried so much too
Yeah.
in public, you know. We've done our pre-record too, and it's the same. For me, I don't have to be fully perfect or made up. And there's so many things that I'm still figuring out as I speak here today.
Okay, let's talk about that feeling about you have to be so perfect when you're in the spotlight, because I think that's something that's going to resonate with people. Even me myself, I used to think that I had to be perfect, but then I realized like the true connection comes from being your full self with all your flaws, because that's when you make the connection, when we can be open with our flaws, because other people are going to relate better than seeing our perfection.
There's a lot of energies behind having to be perfect versus acknowledging who you truly are. In the having to be perfect, there's also fear. There's that need to control. There's the insecurities that you have to put behind aside and make sure it's not seen in the spotlight. You ask me a lot of challenging
Yeah.
questions and I tell you up front, like, yeah, oh my God, like I'm shocked, you know? But for me, it's also like if I tell you today that I still don't know yet, I think this version of me now is comfortable and okay.
Yeah. And I
And
think
yeah,
what you're saying, I think will resonate with a lot of people. And I think people need to see, what is it really like to be a woman running her own business with all the challenges. And like you always say, you're like a one woman show, right? So I think that's also very interesting.
yeah, definitely. I think as a woman in the front, they always feel like oh, she's had it all kept up. And I guess the problem is from my past life, I was known as a very strong woman, as you say that I look all kept up. But for me, I actually want to defy that. I want to talk more about the failures.
Yeah.
I want to talk more about the ugly parts and the messy parts. I feel like that's where we're missing the jam.
Yeah.
Because it feels like, oh, you're in the camera, you're all done, you know, or you finished your run, you did it well. Like, oh, honey, they haven't seen that you've trained for months and years.
Yeah.
They haven't seen that you have to wake up every 5 a.m. and actually continuously show up. They don't see how, despite the messy parts, the hardest part is to keep showing up because nobody
Despite.
sees that.
Yeah.
The hardest parts of the reality of us founders and women are the fact that we have to constantly battle against ourselves first.
Okay, let's talk about that. On your hardest moments, in your hardest days, how do you keep showing up?
That was just like yesterday.
Yeah. How do you keep
It's like
showing
every
up?
day. um, well, I start my day by firstly doing yoga and meditation. That's my non-negotiable anchors of my life. Meditation of at least 10 to 15 minutes is my ritual. I also do my self Reiki to manage my energies and protect my energies. And yoga is my way of releasing and flowing and waking up my body. And next is journaling. So for me, it's being conscious of my thoughts, emotions, what's arising, and allowing, honoring. I think that's the hardest part. We don't allow to honor how we feel, even if it's ugly or not good. On days when it's tough, I actually did this ritual a year ago. I pre recorded an affirmation letter for myself that I listen to every day. So I listen to it 3 times a day, every day. And I've done this experiment for the past 365 days to acknowledge that even when it's horrible or not, I can show up as long as I do my 1% every day, better every day. So that letter, I rewire my brain for the past 365 days, listening to it 3 times a day. That helps me to kind of like be a coach for myself that, okay, if it's not good, it's okay. We can still try and be better every day. Um, I don't know. Depends also what the day calls for, right? Like,
Yeah.
I think also as a founder, the hardest is like to question for ourselves, like, what is the bare minimum I have to achieve today? And how can I show up for myself with kindness? It's easy to be kind for others. The hardest is when it asks of you to be kind for yourself.
Yeah. I think, yeah, definitely. Especially so much pressure to be doing everything so perfectly, or just doing things. I
Yeah.
think, yeah, that's really the pressure. Okay, so just changing gears a little bit. So You came to Bali, so take me there. And what was happening in your life when yoga entered the picture?
Wow. Okay, so before Bali, I was in regional marketing for a corporate, a top brand globally,
Mhm,
a global bestseller brand.
mhm.
And then I flew home to send off my mother. Um, and on the way home, I lost my best friend.
I'm sorry to hear that.
It's okay. So these are my three angels. So that's my Catherine, mom, and my dog. So all these happened in less than 3 months of my life. And I flew to Bali because I got a scholarship for yoga teacher training.
Amazing.
And I thought that was a gift of the universe because I did not want to be a yoga teacher. If you told my a decade old ago self that I will be a yoga teacher, I'll be laughing at myself. It was actually Catherine who wanted to be a yoga
Okay.
teacher.
Catherine's
And
your best friend? Yeah.
yes,
Okay.
so when she passed and a lot of deaths passed, I lost my mom too. I couldn't figure what I want. So the only way for me to find that path was to follow my angel's path. Um, so I went here for yoga and I came how it changed. In
Tell
less
us
than
about
3
that.
months
Yeah.
of living here, I guess the realization of how to say, meeting founders who are just like on a mission to solve something inspired me so much.
Mhm.
I was doing pro bono consultancy since I was 2020 just to find like how can I put my experiences and professional work into something meaningful. So I was actually on that path for a while. Then I moved to and arrived to Bali 2022. And for me, that's when I saw a different way of living life, from a lifestyle, being with nature, but also being surrounded by people who are change makers by nature. For me, that is hard to ignore what energies can do for you. So surrounding yourself with the right people can change you
Yeah.
for whom you can become.
Yeah.
For me here, now how it has changed is that the women tribe we have, like women in climate, women change makers community, sustainability community, these are whom fuel my energies to inspire what I'm doing or creating or trying to do in
Yeah.
my own impact.
Because when you came to Bali, you were doing like a sustainable swimwear or yoga wear or something. I want to talk
Yeah,
about
yeah,
that.
yeah. So actually, I was on sabbatical leave after I finished yoga teacher training. I didn't know what to do with my life. I was like, well, let's merge together my fusion of passions, which is poetry, wellness, and sustainability. So originally, the path was to build a sustainable yoga wear, and then it evolved to adopting a swimwear that's going down to waist. So I adopted it and rebranded it. It's called Kalapa Wear, like coconuts. And then from Kalapaware, when we launched it in Women's Economic Forum, what happened was the businesses approached me and they asked, how do you make something sustainable? How do you source sustainable? I'm like, huh? And then how do you connect with communities? I'm like, I thought for me, these are like basic things to do because if you create with intention, it should be easy. But I realized it's not. When purpose, what I found here is a purpose and a mission to help conscious businesses become more sustainable, be whatever sustainable means for you. For me, it's all about taking responsibility. So if you look into our mission is to help businesses become more responsible. And how we do that is by inspiring and enabling circular transformation.
Okay, so let's go back a little bit. So from sustainable swimwear, you're now doing like hotel textile waste, right? And you're turning into yarn, and then that yarn can be turned into anything. So when was that pivotal moment when you were like, this hotel waste is a problem that nobody's tackling or that people aren't talking about? Because it's something that I didn't even think about it. So like, how? Like, how did you connect the swimwear to like hotel waste?
Okay. So the backstory of that is that this swimwear was launched. And then after Women's Economic Forum, basically I was filing my resignation letter in Women's Economic Forum. I declared I am an entrepreneur and I built the website in 3 days of I Am Sustainable Studio.
Okay, so tell us
Back
about it.
then,
Yeah,
it
okay.
was a B2B, all-in-one solution for businesses to become sustainable,
Mhm.
from sourcing to local community touring, to storytelling. We help for you everything.
Yep.
What happened is in the 6 months, first 6 months of this, it was crazy.
Mhm.
It was busy. I was burning out so fast, but I realized that it was a lot of small to small businesses supporting small. So it was not fully sustainable even for me.
Mhm.
The impact was very little too. And I guess the waking part was that I remember I had a client whom I worked for months, and we were sourcing for her. We toured them for local communities, spent about less than 10 minutes with the communities, and was negotiating 40 cents per piece
Okay.
USD.
Okay.
And I guess that's when I started questioning, is this the one really for me, fashion? Or is there a market that's there who has a bigger role to play in the 92 million tons of textile waste?
Mhm.
So I was about to close the company. I was like, why did I do what I'm doing?
Mhm.
There's so much uncertainties, you know? And I was visiting a friend in hospitality because I used to do consultancy for
Okay.
hospitality.
There we go.
And then I saw it like things are floating. Like the sofa, the uniforms. I was like, this is textile and this is where it all began. To start any fashion wear or any brand, you start with a textile for us. So it went back in full circle because I remembered when I was sourcing for the fabric for yoga wear and also swimwear and my clients, everything that's eco-friendly and sustainable here were shipped from Europe and US.
Okay.
If it's local, you ask them it's eco-friendly. Why? They don't know.
Okay.
If you ask them if it's sustainable, how it was produced, where is it from, they also don't know.
Okay. Wow. Okay.
So it's a very fragmented ecosystem.
Mhm.
And I dove deeper because when I saw the hotels, I started looking for the numbers.
Okay.
And that's how I found the reality that this has been an accepted practice to throw away.
Tell me, like, what's the life cycle of like linens, bedding?
Towels are roughly 3 to 6 months. For uniforms, it's about 12 months, or when they change the brand guide. For linens, it's about 24 to 36 months based on European standards. For Asia and my conversations so far with general managers, 12 to 24 months is already a stretch for us here for
Wow.
beddings and linens
It's because of, yeah. Wow. Okay.
because of the water, because of the chemicals, because of the humidity that we have here, and apparently also the lifestyle that we have.
Tell me about the life cycle. Like, how many months can you use them? How many times?
Well, it's not about the number of months you can use them. It's more about like the quality that's still acceptable for hotels. So
Okay.
sometimes, like especially for 5 to 6 star hotels, when it's a stain or a tear, they already have to dispose it.
Wow.
So that comes about to like a life cycle based on European standards of about 24 to 36 months. But for Asia, from the GMs I've talked to, it's about like 12 to 24 months. So it's half.
Wow.
And that's just for linens. If we talk about uniforms, it's every 12 months that we change it. For towels, it's roughly every 3 to 6 months. And we shared that in Asia, it's actually a lot less of a life cycle because of the type of water we have, the chemicals, the humidity, especially in islands. I've seen this across countries in Philippines, in Indonesia. That changes the cycle of it and the lifestyle. So if a place is very much designed for vacation, their behavioral change is different compared to a business hotel in the
Mhm.
city. In the city, they wouldn't care about it much. They won't do anything because they're out for work. In lifestyles and vacations like this, they were telling me they have everything in the beddings, like massage oils, like
Wow.
tattoo, dyeing, all these things, stains the bed sheets also. So with all these, it comes out to roughly 1 million tons in circulation for textile waste hotels.
And that's in what period?
This was back in 2019,
Wow.
estimates coming from European studies. And what we've seen is just like from my reality I'm seeing today, it's probably double already.
Mhm.
We have not gotten any access to any data on this yet, but doing high estimates coming from number of hotel beds, that's roughly 22% is coming from Asia. So with almost a quarter of us here, we have a huge role to play in this tiny waste stream of waste.
Wow. Okay. So that's a lot of waste. From your from your expertise, how much of that is like in Bali, or like, do you have any numbers?
So Bali has about 60,000 tons in circulation. And from hotels of 4 to 5 star, we've narrowed it down to 500 tons every year.
Wow. And
Every
then,
year.
well, the $1 million question, or the scary question, is what happens to all that? Like, what's happening to all that waste? Because that's a lot.
I'm glad you asked. So every hotel here will tell you that they actually donate. And I actually honor that. I followed it too. But what we realized is only 10% is the capacity to donate. Why? The charities, the foundations to receive it, They have too much.
Wow.
And when I visited them, they would say, Ibu, help us design something out of this because we don't know how to turn this to cash, or we don't actually need more
Mhm.
of this. The waste stream to receive at 10% is already overflowed and nobody can solve it. 90% is mostly still in their back offices or being sold to the black market. The black market, if we then, which I also followed,
Mhm.
you can see that they try to dye it, to restitch it, you know. So it takes about 7 to 10 days just to save one kind of like bed sheet that's stained or torn all over again. So imagine that's not something that we can scale. And also, they still have to try and sell it after. So that cycle doesn't become scalable nor easy to adopt solution for us to solve.
So I guess the scary question is what happens to all that waste, that doesn't get recycled, that doesn't get repurposed.
Well, you kind of know the answer to the question, but I have to verbalize it for everyone.
Yeah.
First of all, it still gets to the incineration or gets burned,
Mhm.
or it goes to the landfill straight because it's sent to the banjars for waste collection, and then they just throw it the same way as the general waste is coming. So our landfills are already closing.
Yeah.
It's already overfilled, and the more that you blend it with other waste, the more we can't recycle it.
Yeah. So say how much waste that is again. Just remind us.
It's 1 million tons of textile waste in circulation from hospitality alone
A year.
a year. Yes, annually.
And then for Bali,
For Bali specifically, there's about 60,000 tons in circulation. And specifically for 4 to 5 star hotels, it's 500 tons.
there you go. It's a big problem.
It is still. And I'm a
Million
tiny
a
lady.
million ton a million ton problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's still growing.
Yeah.
This was again back in 2019. So doing high estimates is probably like 50% higher right now. Yeah. And unfortunately, the practices still need to change. I need more people with me to support the circularity.
Everybody listening, you need to support. You need to support Homegirl here with her mission, to reduce textile waste because it is a huge problem. And listening to the numbers, I'm just like, it's so uncomprehendable to me. And yeah, people don't talk about it. We need to talk about it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I guess the hardest is like we've accepted this as part of the practice. In hospitality, guest experience is always number one.
Yeah.
Same as you. You want customer experience is number one, right? And for you to fake it and show that, okay, everything is perfect is how the industry's been born. But now the trend for everything recycled, it's not enough to just say you're eco-friendly. The market today, and you say natural 100%, how are you delivering it? Smarter consumers now know how to decide what is really authentic and what's not, what is traceable and what is not.
It's true. I mean, do your research. And I always say, vote with your wallet.
And 5 years ago in China, this is already the trend we've seen. The smarter the consumers are because in digital, everything is transparent.
Yeah.
They can see, they can feel, they know better how to research for you. When you claim that you're sustainable, but you're doing other things or you're probably not walking the talk, it's easy for a customer to say it.
Yeah. Listening to you, I can see that you've had a lot of challenges, but I think we're going to talk about them. I want to know, what are the chapters of your life that you don't post about, if you want to share them?
I
Oh,
guess I
yeah.
should post about them after this.
We want to hear.
No,
We
it's
wanna
weird
hear the
because
struggles.
I did the podcast a year ago, and that was the first time I acknowledged that I failed in 2 pilots.
Okay.
But it took me after that like 6 months of processing,
Okay.
and it was successful after.
Okay.
So, um, and a lot of people reached out to me after and said, "Thank you for talking about failures."
Yes, I want to talk about that.
Yeah. And I think what I have not posted much about, and I acknowledge it, is that the moments of failure for ourselves, more than just for output of work,
Okay.
like a not done deal or you missed this, those honestly are external things. Probably the hardest for me still to kind of like slowly put more out of are the imperfections I'm dealing with or battling with. I mean, I just posted today about it. It's like I'm all over my head for a while, but because I'm too all over my head, it freezes and stops me from just getting out there and what is it to try
Mhm.
and share more of it.
Is there something that nearly made you quit?
Oh my God, plenty. Yes, my first heartbreak for this journey happened back in 2023, if I'm not mistaken. And it was a partnership that didn't come through after working for it for 6 months. And I was very heartbroken because I worked on that relationship, that partnership for a while. And when we couldn't push through, but we had a client, it broke me a lot because I had to restart everything from scratch. But it was people who believed in you and saw you and encouraged you to keep going, to see and feel that you're still capable. I thought I was going to make my own manufacturing from scratch, to going out there in Taiwan
Hmm.
and Vietnam to textile exhibitions without any knowledge of textile. I'm not a queen of textile, I just care.
Yep.
I have no engineering background. For me, it's just because I knew something was wrong and maybe there's a way to do it better. I would go to expo conferences and I would reach out to them and explain what I want to do. And 99% of them would say no. They would say, why bother? It's already post consumer waste.
Hmm.
Why bother? It's cotton anyways. It's fine.
Okay.
And for me, that was probably the hardest and toughest times when you realize that from a conference of over like 500 booths or so that I talked to, I probably talked to 100 of them,
Hmm.
99% will say no. And that 99%, they would always challenge you and say, it's okay, lah. Like it's post consumer waste, why bother? Like
Okay.
you're already spending so much energies for waste. But they don't realize that where I am, that's exactly what ends up straight into the landfills.
Yeah.
That is the real problem. A lot of recycling textile today, I can tell you, comes from pre consumer waste. And they will claim it's recycled. I still honor it. It's amazing. But the work, the harder work, is in the last mile, the post consumer, in where I am. And at least from that 99%, you still get a 1%. And the 1% keeps me going. So from there, I was referred to by others who are open to discussing with others. I got mentors as well. I got textile engineers as well connecting with us. We have collaborators too. Slowly, pilot happened one, two, three, 4 times.
Yep.
Two of them failed. And from the two of them, one I flew all the way for, met the client the next day only to say it failed.
Wow.
And I was very embarrassed. I was tearful, I was crying. I didn't know why I'm doing what I'm doing. I was ashamed. I was scared. It was a mix of everything. You put yourself out there and you flew all the way to find out that's only to fail. But I didn't know then what I know now.
When that moment happened, when you're like, I failed, how did you keep going? Because it would be so easy just to walk away back. Like, why not?
I talked to people who became mentors to me.
Mhm.
I talked to believers who can see why I'm doing what I'm doing. And then you equip the will. You put your intention out there, and the intention equips the will. So for me, even if back then everything feels like a no, I know one way or another there is a yes somewhere. So I remember I was pitching in in the Big Spark. It was in CNA in Singapore, and I made it to the top, but I did not make it to the cut. And the reason being was that they said it's not seen as a business model. But from showing up from there, I got to connect to another partner who then enabled me to lock in my scalable pilot. So for me, so many ways of our lives, we can feel that it's a no, but actually sometimes it's doing something for you. It's a roadblock that makes you detour towards the yes that you're meant to be.
I agree with that. I think, like, every no is one closer to a yes, and every failure is an opportunity to learn.
100%.
And I think sometimes life will change direction for you, and you just gotta be flexible and evolve, right? That's what you did so many times already.
Still evolving,
Yeah.
still changing. And I
Yeah.
think, I guess that's what it is to just have a heart of resilience. And if there's anything, I learned that from my mom. And I honor that from my mom.
That's beautiful. Let's talk about womanhood now. Let's talk about, when we had
Hmm.
our pre-interview, you talked about being sized up. Um, and I think that's really hard. I think especially a woman in the industry, I think there's so few of us that are doing anything leading. And I think you find yourself a lot of the time in a room full of men.
Yes.
And I think it's really hard. They size you up. They're like, why are you here? Do you belong? How do you deal with that?
Wow.
Because I
Yes.
struggle with that. So I want to know how
No,
you.
I love it. I love the question because I just validated this insight 3 weeks ago.
Okay.
And yes, for the past 3 years, coming in as a solo founder was very tough. As a woman was very tough. And a male-dominated industry, textile, come on, that's sexy, yeah, is very tough. Like,
Yeah.
I'm also like tiny woman who's like starting up a business. You are never taken seriously.
Yeah.
I can tell you, they questioned me and they said, "Why are you crazy?" Up front. And honestly, I was super shattered and heartbroken many times. But also, I would go to conferences on my own, present actually also on my own, and most of them are men,
Mhm.
and most of them talk with so much like just structure, just profit, just what's in it for me.
Yeah.
And what I've learned coming into a room like that is that, first of all, you don't have to be wearing the pants to actually have a voice.
Mhm. Okay.
You just have to come as you are. And second of all, women will always come together. So last Bali Ocean Days, I remember it felt the same. I was very much like, wow, is this a conference that's going to be a lot of males, you know? But what I've learned is that we created a space for women. We held a dinner for women, changemakers. And what we found is like, this was born in less than 24 hours. And the
Wow.
signups were like 15 or 16. We're like, okay, originally we just aim for 10. And from 10, it became 15 signups. We had about 12 ladies who showed up. And what surprised me is everybody felt the same. It's like I'm coming in alone. I feel like I have no one, or also the fact that it's all men. How can I speak as a woman? And that's one thing I realized. Women will always come together and support you easily. So now my soft spot is women, women communities, women conferences. And I can tell you today that until now, I'm still benefiting from supporting the women conference a year ago. Women in ESG Symposium, where these advocates are just slowly advocating for me without doing anything. And for me, that also gets the attention of men.
Yeah, that's true.
Why we need to be right in front of the stage, like
Yeah.
why we need more women speakers than men. I
Yeah.
mean, we don't have to just be like all men in general. I think there has to be equality in that
Yeah.
respect. Yeah.
So how do you speak in a room full of men? Let's do you get the yeah. How do you get their attention? How do you
That
speak
is funny.
and get
Yeah.
them to
Now that
like
I'm
listen to you?
You are making me look back because I did actually a lot of like panel talks where I'm the only woman. Like probably 3 out of 4. I remember, yes, I would always be the only woman. Well, first of all, I would dress up.
Okay.
We still want that.
Yep.
And second of all, I just come as I am. I think because I have a taller vision that's beyond them. And for me, masculine or feminine, that doesn't matter. It's more about like being able to continue and carry on the conversations. And honestly, coming into a space of male dominated, the hardest is being able to embrace truly who you are. If I know who I am and if I know my story, then I have nothing else to worry about. If I don't know who I am, then that's where fear comes in. That's where I become more worried or nervous. And yeah, like for me now, what I love the most is in a space that's male dominated, I find the best connections.
Okay. So dress up, have confidence, and know who you are, and then that's the secret, right?
What is your secret?
I'm still figuring it out. I'm still learning, and I'm learning from you. But I think come as you are. Don't be scared. Confidence.
Coming as you are, your biggest weapon is your
Yeah.
energies. I tell this a lot. But for me, I work a lot on my own energy so that I can prepare. I have anticipatory anxiety. I always overthink before I get there, but once I get there, because I've thought of all the scenarios, I'm actually really good after.
So overthinking
Yeah.
can calm the nerves.
But also like I already know more or less what I have to share and offer. Also, lastly, is like coming in with intention. Like before you get into a space, what am I here for? Why am I doing what I'm doing? And what am I out there looking forward to connect?
Yeah.
When you put it out there, you put your heart out to the universe, you basically ask the universe to share it back to you, to play with you and dance with you, and to attract what you're looking for.
Amazing. Okay, I love that. Okay, so we're gonna switch a little bit gears on. I want to talk about energies because that's something that you talked about in the beginning. So can you explain to me about protecting your energy? And it's like a non-woo-woo way, right? So like the more technical in terms of like how do you protect your energy so that you can become like a better leader, a better person, more present? Because that's something we don't talk about, protecting our energies.
Talk a lot about in what I do as circularity.
Mhm.
And what I talked to you about before is that circularity is not just for the planet, it's also about the people. What energies you give is what energies you will receive. And I strongly believe in that. And for me, my favorite formula in life is AI: awareness fuels, intention transforms.
Ooh, there you go. Say that again. Say that again.
Awareness fuels, intention transforms.
And that's AI, you guys.
It's the basics of AI. But for me, that's the magic of my life. I remember writing it down 5 years ago that these are the principles I strongly believe in. If you're intentional about every encounter in your life, of being here today, of whom you speak and what you do, everything in your life can change. That's conscious way of living for you. And it doesn't have to be too woo-woo, spiritual. It doesn't matter what religion you're from or what background you are at, like, or what culture you're coming from. At the end of the day, the intention is what connects people. My intention to be here with you and talk about these with you, our intention to change or to create that impact in the future, these are what people would support, and everything else will transform from there. So for me, everything in my life has been based on that principle. For me, what I strongly believe in is like how you start with is how you actually cultivate your own energies. As I shared, I start with yoga.
Yep.
I start with yoga and journaling because for me, that's how I can actually show up for myself first. I'm an ambivert, I would say. I may look super extrovert, but I need time to recalibrate after. And I know you're the same.
Yeah, yeah.
Like we can if I need to, but I also know how to channel back my energies. I can be speaking in a conference for a full day, but you will see me, curling up and actually journaling and like doing my own yoga practice after in my own room.
Okay. Yeah, that's very interesting. But yeah, I'm the same. I
Hmm.
need I think after this podcast, I'll go home and sleep because I do need that time just to reset. I think I call it recharging,
Yeah.
actually.
Refilling
Yeah.
yourself. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So talk about intentions and talk about principles, right? So is there any line that you won't cross in terms of like your sustainability anchor?
Hmm. Is there a line that I won't cross?
Yeah.
I
Like
think
if there was a
something.
line you could cross and you would grow faster, would you do it? Like where does like I know you're like so principle driven from knowing you, but I want you to share that with the rest of the world.
I think a lot of people know of me already, can say that I will only choose what is ethical.
Okay.
By ethical, it means like somebody, people working with people and companies who are aligned with my values. And that means leading with authenticity. If I do not feel that we are in the same vision and mission, I may choose not to partner instead with you. Because otherwise, for me, the risk is that in the longer term, the vision will not be aligned and we will have to do something that's not the same path that we want. For me, that's probably the biggest.
Okay.
And well, for me, definitely, like what I would choose to always do is to amplify impact together. So, working with communities, with organizations who are authentically driving impact, that is the dream.
Yeah.
Like you.
Yeah. Thank you. I love that. I love that you are not just doing it to do it, you're doing it with intention. And you also have, you also have your boundary, you also have your intention of where you want to go. I think that's so beautiful. I want to talk about um, Luna, something a little bit lighter. You said she's home. What did she teach you? Because Luna's your dog, right?
Yeah, she's my adopted baby. I got her at 6 months. She was left behind at 1 month old in a box, in the ocean, with her two siblings. And since 6 months, she has been very different to where she is today. She is home in a way that she inspired me to realize that I can be so much more, that I'm capable of being a mom, and that I can be a good mom. She gives me hope. And from when I got her very scared, traumatized, I realized it's the same too. By adopting someone or something,
Mhm.
you give it hope,
Mhm.
giving it love, constantly showing up. They are giving them a second chance to live so much better. I strongly believe this in all that I do. Second chances. That's what waste is too.
Yeah, yeah, there you go. Wow.
Yeah.
It's
I
all
designed a
connected.
patch called like that. Designed for second chances. Yeah.
Designed for second chances.
Yeah.
That's so beautiful. Okay, you talk about intention is the rarest form of generosity. What did you learn from that, and how do you practice it?
When I learned it is when I started meditation. In meditation, my anxiety dissipates because I can be fully present in where I am. It doesn't matter what is the past or the future. What matters more is where you are in this moment and honoring it. So, presence is the biggest gift, but to be fully present is now the rarest form. Why? Well, hello, digital, social media, AI, all the tools, right? Each person probably has 3 to 5 tools. I am guilty of it. But what does it make out of us? I came from a massage recently, and I will talk about this before I write about it. And at some point, it became like I really had a good body, and then it went to my feet. And then when it got to my feet, suddenly I was like, something changed. And then I realized my masseuse was using her phone.
Oh,
And that's when I realized, wow, even if it's paid, even in this moment when you're asked by default to be fully present, it's not expected anymore. You have to demand for it. But attention at the purest fullness of presence is a gift. To choose to be there and fully present, and instead of just hearing, but fully listening, that is a gift. It's a gift that you're giving the energies for.
I want to know. We talked about sustainability, and I feel like that's a big part of who you are, right? Sustainability. Putting a sustainability aside, who are you, like at the core?
An Asian woman who's just trying to make some change and
Change.
leave a legacy into this universe, however that is. Be it my story, be it what I'm creating, be it the communities we're building. Legacy can be what I put my heart out and my energies out to.
And I think when I spoke to you before, you said that where you get the most joy from is changing people's lives and opinions and basically creating change no matter how, right? That's how you, that's where your heart's at.
I think that's what surprises me the most. Being here and where I am, it's the fact that I would get messages of saying, thank you for talking about failures. Thank you for showing us that you inspired me today. And I'm like, why? How? Like for me, I'm just trying somewhere to do something. Whatever that change is, whatever it means for you, for the listeners, I think maybe that's my mission, to unravel and unlock and make everybody with a brave heart.
But let's talk about one small thing someone can do this week or whenever that will make them live a more aligned life.
Well, in honor of Chinese New Year,
Ooh, okay, let's go for that. Okay, okay. The year of the horse, if
the year
anybody's
of the
asking.
horse, and
Yep.
we came from the year of the snake.
Yes.
There's a lot of shedding.
Yep.
So,
Have
one
we
small
shed already
thing.
though? Have we shed?
Oh, definitely. I'm
Okay,
very
good.
excited and happy. Today is a day one, I'm a new woman.
I feel that too. I'm glad you feel it too.
But
Okay.
you cannot enter the year without acknowledging what the last has given of you. So, one small thing you can do is actually carve 30 minutes of your time and acknowledge what you're letting go of. And in that one box, burn it as you wish, throw it or whatever, and then write your intentions for 2026.
Okay. So that's your tip.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. What motivates you?
I think before I can proudly say I was a workaholic, but right now I'm a passionholic or purposeholic. Is that making sense?
Yeah.
Because everything I do is so intentional. I do consultancy for impact brands, but that's also very intentional. But at the same time, my startup is, it's very purpose driven. So yes, I can get burned out fast too because I can go, go, go. But at the same time, I know now to recognize how to rebalance and slow down. So my purpose and passion is a lot about fueling both wellness and sustainability. Now that I say it, it sounds like very Utama spice. But in general, for me, you cannot show up for your mission if you're not well for yourself first. It definitely always is a trade off. And I think as a founder, that's the hardest thing. We always have trade offs. So to go for dinner tonight versus finish a proposal thereafter, or to probably book some time to travel with family versus like continue to build what I'm building today. These are trade offs that I choose to do. But how I do it, I do know that my inner circle would always understand And what I do too is that I try to make some time to connect intentionally on weekends. And for me, that's also very much like intentional. I try to honor those relationships that also keep me going to where I am today. For me too, my best friends, they've traveled with me in all this lifestyle. They've seen me through long distance, but when we're together, we're fully together. And for me, it's not about the quantity of time that you spend, it's the quality and the depth. Same as what we have today too. Same as our friendship too. We don't have to always see each other, but once I do, I'm fully there and fully with you. And it's the same balance also because for me, they understand also and support what I love. But yeah, I guess it's always that trade off, and it's the sacrifices we have to make as founders that people don't see. And I constantly battle with this every day. Just coming from a Singapore trip, it was a balance of staying with friends, catching up, but at the same time still working and functioning. The best part is we're both an impact. So it's almost like work and play intertwined together too. And it's the same. Like the women's circle, the women tribes and impact space, honestly, it's a work and play. I think the best part about this is that if your passion and purpose are aligned, everything becomes a work and play together. And the relationships that you nurture around is very much aligned in that ecosphere.
That's a wrap, I think. I want to say thank you so much for sharing so much of yourself for everybody. I hope that anybody listening will be inspired because I think I learned a lot from you and I hope other people will learn a lot as well. And I think it's about being open, honest, and I think that the theme is coming as you are, show up as you are. Thank you guys for listening.